Hello everyone, it's Bee here. Okay, let me start off by explaining my voice. My daughter was here with the baby a few days, and we took a walk, and the wind was just blowing outside, and it was cold, and I think my allergies are acting up, and I might have also caught a little cold. My ears are stuffy, my nose is stuffy, I have a little cough. Otherwise, I'm fine. So I apologize for that. You're gonna have to put up with, listening to me like this. But anyway, sorry about that. Second off, thank you all so much for the response to that paper piecing video. It absolutely blew my mind. I can't wrap my mind around it, how many people watched it and how many comments and such nice comments and just how many people responded to it. It's just, oh my God, you guys, honestly, you made my year. It's amazing. Oh, Radish, my cat Radish. I'm here on the floor. I always cut my quilts on the floor, so we may have to put up with the one or the other cat coming into. Hey, no fighting. Anyway, I was thinking, let me again say a really big thank you to all of you. It's just amazing. And then the reason for the video is that I was thinking the follow-up video I did on how I finished my quilts was, I'm pretty sure one could get the gist, but I was thinking a little bit more in-depth look wouldn't be bad. So I'm going to actually show you how I finish my quilts, and I want to show you how you put bias tape around it and to miter these corners, and how you would use your backing to make a border around your quilt if you're so inclined. And then you can figure out which of these methods you like best and which one you want to use for your quilts. Okay, so I'm not sure if we get to all of this, but I'm gonna try. Anyway, let's start by saying that I never, ever, 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 ever cut my quilts before they're finished quilting. I'm gonna make an exception for you this time because this is the only one quilt sandwich I have laying around right now. So I'm gonna use this one. It's not finished quilting, it's still basted, and you see how heavy I basted this. I mean, there's a lot of safety pins in here so that nothing moves around. Anyway, I figured I'm just going to use this. I'm only going to make this corner here. So to give you an idea of how I finish my quilts. Sorry. And I think it will give you a good idea, and this is just going to be a corner piece of my quilt then. Anyway, let's get going. So again, I usually don't cut my quilts before I'm done quilting because the uptake here can mess with Radish, can mess with the lines that you just cut straight. So I just wait to cut it once at the end instead of having to cut it twice. That's not a toy, girl. So I put straight pins in here to simulate to where I would usually quilt. So this hexagon would be quilted to within a 1/4 inch, or however much that is. I usually measure in, that's about a 1/4 inch, right? This in centimeters. Anyway, so about a centimeter or a 1/4 inch to this lower edge in the valley here. So I would quilt around all these edges, and I would leave this open. And for the top one as well, I would quilt here and here and here, and I would leave the rest open. So this would still be able to move right here, like so, okay? And then, Radish, I would take my big quilt ruler and, for when I quilt the whole thing, but here I'm only going to use my little one. So usually I would lay my quilt ruler right, you see this edge, and I would put it about a 1/4 inch out from this straight edge. So I would put it about here. And then you take your, let me cut down here because we don't need this. And you would obviously do this with your, would do this the whole way down for your whole quilt, edge of this edge. And then I take my, and I'm gonna go all the way, like so. I think I need a new blade in this thing. Come on. Okay. I'm gonna just cut it by scissors. Okay. So, oh, really? Definitely need a new blade. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to show you this little edge and then maybe two in here. That way you get an idea of how I finish my quilts. So I have about this much cut off the top. It's, oh, see? 1/4 of an inch. Okay. And you would obviously cut the entire side of this. I'm just not, okay? Right. So we have this cut, and then I would come in here with my scissors and just cut this to about, I bent these back and then I just cut. Oh, come on. I don't know why this is so complicated today. And then I would just cut straight up here. You can probably use, you know, your ruler to bend all this back and then pop your ruler on top and you can cut, you know, a straighter line. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal. So you have, oh, okay. So you have the front and the back, and your batting is in here. And then, let me get this out of the way. You grab a needle and some, oh. Don't let your cats play with your string. And some thread. And you hope that you get, oh, I got it the first time around. All right. And of course you'd wax your thread again, which I'm not going to do right now because the wax is way over there. And I'm way over here. Let me get my tea out of the way though. Okay, this is done. Where's my needle? Here. Oh, and then I make a knot. And somebody said they were surprised how I make my knots. I think it's called a quilter's knot, but I'm not entirely sure. So you would put your thread like this and then just wind it around your needle a couple of times. Hold it with this thumb and finger, and then I just slide it down my thread like so. And then you have a knot in the end. Tiny little one. Right. And now I have to pick this up. Okay, here we go. So I would start obviously on the other corner. You'd fold this over. And this is quilted right there. And then, oh, I need to cut this too because I can't fold it over otherwise. Right. So you would fold it over and you would fold the backing over under that so that the backing and the front line up on this edge. Like so. See how they line up? Right. And then, what did I do with my needle now? Hello. Oh, there. Okay, hold on. All right. So, and then you just bury a knot in there. Oh, come on. Why is there a knot now in here? Ugh. See why I usually wax my thread because this happens. Right. Okay, let's just use this knot then. Okay. Here we are. This is the hexagon I cut. And this is the last hexagon that was full. So, and then I just go and I take a little bite out of here. And oh yeah, all the papers are taken out. Obviously, you take them out as you go quilt these things. Oh, what did I do now? There we go. Whoop! Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to hit you guys. And then you take a little bite out of over here. And a little bite out of over here. Ugh. And obviously this is so much easier once it's finished quilting because you don't have 75,000 pins in here and safety pins. And you just keep going like this. You kind of fold it over. One out of here. One out of here. And you just keep going all the way down the line to the edge. I'm gonna just turn this off and finish this really quickly, and then I can show you this edge, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, I'm almost finished, so I'm gonna show you a couple more times how I sew that, I thought. So just take a little bite out of here, and then a little bite out of here. And I go all the way up, or you can stop a couple of stitches previous to that point, but you need to get all the way to that point eventually, because we're going to go around the corner. Oh, come on. Oh, and of course the cats are fighting now. It's just a joy. Okay, I'm going to finish my thread off really quickly here. You can, when you cut your quilt, you can cut all the way around. Obviously, you don't have to just do one side at a time. And you can also pin this edge here if you want to. When you fold it under, you can like put these little clips in, or pins, obviously, to keep it in place so that the whole edge is pinned. I don't, but so this is what it would look like. See, now you have a nice straight edge, and you can then either have a second needle going and quilt this here at the same time as you go along, or just quilt it after you're done. Okay, now let's go over to this side. On this side, I would take my, what did they do with it? I would take my quilting ruler, if I can find it. What do I do with it? Oh, here. All right. And you would put it just about one of these tiny little bits, if so, above the point of these things, the point of these hexagons, okay? Just over the top of that, like so. And then, because you don't want to cut into your points. Okay. Well, that was the best cut ever. Okay. Oh, I'm just going to do this because, again, I'm not doing the whole thing. So, now we have this. And I cut this a little shorter again to about down the valley, the size of where the valley ends of these hexagons. Whoop. Okay, I can finish this. Right, so it looks like this, and then you take your scissors and you clip down to that valley. Don't cut into your hexagon, just into the backing. There you go. Right, so it looks like this now. And I cut this part of the hexagon out because I don't want the corners too bulky. So this is getting cut out. And then I start by just folding this in. Like so. You fold it in. And again, this part here is not quilted yet. Only this part would be, okay? And then you grab your needle. Ugh, come on. Make a knot. Ugh, it's just not working for me today, is it? Okay, there we go. And then you would start the same thing over again as you have on the other side. Bury a knot. Ugh. Like so. And then we just go a little bite out of here. And again, you can pin this if you like, if that makes it easier for you. Make sure all these little threads are in there. There we go. And a little bite out of here. Oh, come on. And you would go all the way down here. I'm going to pause this and I'm going to show you, I'm going to go a little further ahead so that you have, a little bit better of an idea what it looks like. I'll be right back. Right, so here you have it. Right now my points sound very pointy because my eyes are kind of blurry, and this all is so much easier if you don't do it on camera. But I have a straight edge here and I have this zigzag edge over here. So this is how I finish my quilts. My quilts have 2 zigzag sides and 2 straight sides to them. Okay. And now let's do the bias binding, I guess. So, let me cut this off. Okay, so the bias binding has a longer and a shorter side. You can do this a couple of ways. You can put the shorter side on the front and the longer side in the back, like so, and put it across here. Obviously you would do this with the raw edges here. You would cut your quilt and square it up, and then you have raw edges here. You wouldn't finish it when you put the bias binding on. Anyway, so the long end goes in the back and the short end up front, like so. And then you can just top stitch along here. Make sure that you catch the back. That is one possibility. But then you have like a little seam going along here. I like to put my bias binding on this way. If I use it, I used it. Let me show you. I do use it occasionally. I made these placemats. Oh, out of the way. I made these placemats for my family. And I made them each in like the person's favorite color. And I did put some bias binding on that. Could they be more square? Yes, they could. Does it bother me? No, it does not. Anyway, so I made these little placemats and I put the bias binding around, and this is all hand stitched. But you don't see the stitching. So this is how I put this on. I grabbed the bias binding and I put it on like so. Okay. I'm not going to actually sew this because, so you would attach it. Make sure that your binding is even here with the edge, and then you would stitch along this stitch. You would stitch along until you come to a corner. When you're almost in the corner, like same distance from the corner as this is wide, you start going up at an angle. So you would instead of going straight towards the edge of the other edge, you'd go up on an angle like this. So you would sew from the stitch up to the corner like that. And then let me turn this around. So you've stitched up from that ditch up to the corner like so. Then you would fold it on that corner, on that angle. You would fold it on that angle like so. And obviously this would end at the corner because you'd make it a little bit, you know, more precise than I pinned it here. Let's see if I can get it. So, yep. It would end exactly at the corner. And this obviously would be straight. So you'd fold it back like so. And then hold it here on the seam and fold it back again onto itself, just like this, so that this edge of the bias binding is even with this edge of your quilt. Okay, and then you would continue to sew in that ditch, and this edge needs to be even with that edge, and then you would continue to sew in the ditch all the way around. And when you fold over your corner like so, it should be, I mean, this is obviously sewn down, and it should be mitered like that. I mean, you know, it would be sewn down. It'd be a little bit easier to see. And then once the back side is done, you'd flip the whole thing over. Obviously, this would be sewn down. I'm losing the battle here. I took some medication, and I think I think I'm losing it. So I'm gonna make this maybe another. I may have to do another video on just how to do this. So this would be sewn down, and you wouldn't see a stitch right here. Obviously, you start on the front of your quilt, not the back. And then you'd flip it over like so. And you can either, you can blind stitch it again, the same stitch that I did here, just a little bit out of here and a little bit out of here. And obviously this would be the back. I started it the wrong way around. Anyway, so, and the corner would be done exactly the same way. You would stitch straight until you're about this far from the corner, and then you go up at an angle and fold it over again. Okay, so this would be with a bias binding. And then the way you do the quilt edging when you want to use your backing. And if this didn't make sense, let me know. I'll make an extra video on how to do the bias binding, because I'm not sure if I'm making sense right now. I think the medicine is kicking in. Let me find here the backing fabric. Let's say you have, oh, let's use this corner. Okay, so here's your quilt, and you want the backing as your binding on the quilt. Okay, you would cut the batting down to about here, and you would square up your quilt on both ends, and then you'd fold in the, let me get this out of the way here, and then you would fold in your backing to a little bit shorter than you want the actual backing to be, because you want a two-fold. So you fold it twice, and then you iron it. And same on this side. You fold it twice, and you iron it. And then you unfold it once, like so. So that you have still, you know, two folds on each side. And you then make, okay, you would have still this and this, and then you would measure in with your ruler the width, twice the width of the edging that you want to have, how wide you want your edging. You would measure in twice the width. So if I want like an inch of an edging, I would measure 2 inches in here and 2 inches in here, and make a mark on each of these, you know, on each of these sides. And then you connect these two marks with your ruler, right? And then you take Oh, I was out of frame. You didn't even see it. Oh, goodness. Okay, let's do this again. So you'd fold in you obviously you cut it to size, but you fold it in like so, and again, and you iron it, and you do the same thing over on this side. You fold it in twice, and you iron it, and then you unfold it so that there's one fold still there. Okay? And then you measure with your ruler twice the size of the edging that you want here. So if I want an inch of edging, I would measure 2 inches here and 2 inches here, make a mark here, make a mark here, and then connect those 2 marks with my ruler. And then you take your quilt or your backing, and you fold it like this so that the 2 marks that you just made match up over here, okay? And then you, and there would be a line right here. So you would just sew a straight line across there on that line that you made between those 2 marks. You cut that corner off. Where did my, oh, there's my push pins. Okay. You would sew along this seam like so. And you would cut this off about a 1/4 inch, or less, above the seam that you just made. And then you flip it round like so. Obviously, this is all nice and ironed, which I don't. And then you would stick this simply. It would fold, if you measured it all right, it would all fold over. And then you have your backing as your obviously I didn't measure anything here, but then you have this mitered corner if you did it right, and you have your backing as your binding right there. Okay, there you have it. And again, if the last 2 didn't make any sense, please let me know. I'm happy to do another video on it, because like I said, my mind is about to be gone. Anyway, now you know how I finish my quilts. This is what they will look like. See, you just continue to go like this. And again, it would all be quilted, so it would all be flat, and it would all be a little bit more, pointier, because I'd pay better attention. And oh, in the valley, I do take a stitch just across like this. When I get to the valley of this, I just take one tiny little stitch just across from the back to the front and to the back again, and then I continue up on this edge. So this is what my quilt's edges look like. You would obviously finish quilting it and then give it a good press, wash it, You probably don't even have to iron it before you wash it, but this is what my quilt edges look like. And I like that there is not a binding or anything there, but there's nothing wrong with a binding if you want a binding on it. Anyway, I hope this helped. Again, if the bindings didn't make sense, let me know. I make another video just on that, with where I actually measure things and show you how to exactly sew it, okay? Anyway, again, thanks so much for liking everything and for watching that video so often, and for all the wonderful comments. You guys really made my day. And I'll be back with something else. Just let me know what you want to see, and I figure out how to make a video about it. See you later. Bye. Happy quilting.